The top stories tonight in Y News. Malacan stands firm. Philippines is winning its battle versus COVID-19 despite test result backlogs in June.
The country's health department explains why reaching 40,000 COVID-19 cases in June in the Philippines is not possible. Calls for New Zealand to open its borders immediately are frankly dangerous, according to its Prime Minister.
Russia's only Wells Corgi police dog retires at age 9. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, June 30, 2020. I am Horlin Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide with UNTV News and Rescue, social media accounts, and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news, Malacan has said the country is winning its battle against the deadly coronavirus disease, and presidential spokesperson Harry Roque reiterated the palace's stand today. Rosa Licos, our Malacan correspondent, will tell us why.
Malacan says the Philippines is winning against COVID-19 despite the increasing number of confirmed cases in the country. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, although there are still backlogs in the COVID-19 test results, the Philippines did not reach the 40,000 predicted number of COVID-19 cases at the end of June. Based on the Health Department's report, the COVID-19 testing backlogs are more than 3,000 as of June 29, 2020.
We will not hit 40,000 by end of June. No? Panalo na tayo. We beat the UP prediction po. We beat it. So congratulations, Philippines. Let's do it again in July. So we are winning. And I've said, ang titignan natin, declining mortality, yung case doubling rate, at saka siyempre po yung positivity rate na patuloy pong bumababa.
But according to UP Research Fellow and Institute of Mathematics Professor Dr. Guido David, one of those who made the projection based on data, the 37,000 plus COVID-19 cases today means there's no big improvement in the COVID-19 situation in the Philippines.
It means, medyo malapit siya, pero it also is not a good sign kasi it means yun nga, hindi tayo nag-improve that much. I mean, it's not bad din. Ibig sabihin, hindi rin tayo lumalala ng sumasabog yung pandemic, but at the same time, we hope na it would be improving.
Based on the forecast of UP experts, in July, it is possible to record 60,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Health Department explains why it is not possible for the country to reach 40,000 COVID-19 cases in June. Our health correspondent, Aiko Miguel, will join us tonight live. Yes, Aiko, good evening.
Yes, Arlene, good evening. Based on the DOH report, there are now 37,514 COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. This is close to the UP experts' projection for the month of June. Yesterday, there were 3,068 test backlogs in laboratories based on the DOH situation report. Arlene, according to Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, the public should understand every data and figures that go along with the explanation and analysis of experts.
Never magiging pareho itong cumulative unique positive at yung confirmed cases. It can be approximated na medyo malapit ang numero, no? Hindi libo ang difference, pero hindi sila talaga magpapareho. Although meron talaga na numero dyan na talagang hindi pa natin na i-validate, kaya hindi pa na itatag as confirmed.
706,856 Filipinos have undergone COVID-19 testing so far. The DOH plans to reach 1 million Filipinos to be tested by end of July in accordance with the country's expanded testing protocol. The DOH say they are not setting aside the study, and the public should be also aware of this information to be more cautious and be more responsible. With this kind of awareness, the projection will not be reached.
Itong mga models na to, bagaman minsan ay nagiging totoo, ang atin lang pong sinasabi, we are not certain and we can never be sure if we will reach this case, number of cases or not. Kailangan lang, ang lagi nga namin pinapaalala mula nang lumabas itong forecast na ito or estimate na ito, people should help us in mitigating na hindi dapat mangyari ito by doing the minimum public health standards.
Also, according to the DOH, although there is a rising number of cases in Central Visayas, the National Capital Region remains as the epicenter of coronavirus disease 2019.
Our experts are still saying that NCR is still the epicenter, and we are seeing hotspots or rising cases in other areas of the country. Ang NCR, kahit na tumataas ang Cebu, makikita natin yung continuous numbers dito sa NCR. So as to identifying which is the epicenter, our experts and still nandito pa rin, no?
Harleen?
So, Aiko, Metro Manila remains to be the epicenter of COVID-19 here in our country. But what about hotspots? What does the DOH have to say on this?
Well, Harleen, the Health Department is seeing more emerging COVID-19 hotspots in regions 10, 11, 12, and the Bangsamoro Moro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, or the BARMM. These are in Lanao del Norte, Bukidnon, Misamis Occidental, Davao del Norte, Davao del Sur, Davao Oriental, South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, and Maguindanao. These are the emerging COVID-19 hotspots in those regions, Harleen.
All right, thank you so much, Aiko Miguel, for that report. Environment Secretary Roy Cimatu, the overseer of COVID-19 response in Cebu City, designated by President Duterte, wants to extend the enhanced community quarantine in the city. Rosa Licons explains why.
The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Cebu City continues to shoot up. The surge in number of mortality is also alarming. According to Environment Secretary Roy Cimatu, who has been sent by President Duterte to oversee the COVID-19 response in the Queen City of the South, the localized lockdown, particularly in 12 barangays with high number of COVID-19 cases, must be sustained.
We have to, contain muna ito bago luwagan natin itong ECQ. Then kung naluwagan na natin ang ECQ, i-concentrate na natin dito sa lockdown, yung granular na tawag namin, na doon lang, nakafocus lang dito sa 12 na barangays.
COVID-19 testing will also be accelerated and quarantine facilities within barangays will be transferred. Meanwhile, President Duterte will announce tonight the community quarantine to be implemented in various parts of the country starting tomorrow, July 1st. The public awaits the President's decision on areas with high COVID-19 infection numbers, such as Cebu City, which is under enhanced community quarantine, Lipa City under modified ECQ, as well as Metro Manila, which is under general community quarantine. Several local government units also appealed to the IATF to enforce stricter quarantine protocols in their areas, such as the provinces of Malacan and Cagayan. Rosa Licos, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, when Secretary Harry Roque was asked if serious penalties will be imposed on violators of community quarantine measures designed to curb the further spread of the deadly virus, the presidential spokesperson said there is a grave punishment.
Ang tawag po sa parusang yan, kamatayan. Kung hindi po kamatayan, matinding pagkakasakit. Kasama na rin po dyan ang gastos para magpagaling kung kaya pang gumaling. Kasama rin po dyan ang hinagpis ng mga kamag-anak pag ikaw po ay pumanaw. Kasama pa rin dyan na susunugin ng iyong katawan nang wala na pong lamay. Napakatindi po ng parusa, pinapataw po ng batas kalikasan.
Lipa City District Hospital reopens today after completing disinfection in its facilities. The hospital was closed for 10 days after some of its staff members tested positive for COVID-19. The hospital reopens its doors to patients. On the other hand, the district hospitals in the towns of Lemery and Balayan remain closed. Iloilo City reimposes the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew as COVID-19 cases in the city continues to rise. This curfew is effective within the period of Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ until it is lifted or extended by the IATF. Health standards will also be strengthened in all establishments and public places in the city. These measures are based on Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Treñas Executive Order number 86. Mayor Treñas asked for the cooperation of Ilonggos to prevent the further spread of the deadly novel coronavirus in the city.
Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao City has received less and less COVID-19 patients in the past week. But with this downward trend of COVID-19 cases, SPMC Chief of Medical Professional Staff Dr. Ricardo Audan said there is still no room for complacency.
For the last 1 week, wala man po din na nakakuha og more than 10 na new cases. Like for example, yesterday last data we have only 4. The other day we have 2. Pero dili pa ta makasulti na mag-rejoice ta, mo celebrate ta because it's actually fluctuating ang reduction pero dili pa sa.
As of today, about more than 40% of the hospital's bed for COVID-19 patients are occupied. Davao City has so far recorded a total of more than 400 coronavirus cases. The Regional Interagency Task Force has approved the local government's request to halt the entry of the locally stranded individuals and returning overseas Filipinos in Oriental Mindoro. There will be no return trips from July 1 to 7. Their goal is to conduct decontamination and disinfection in all ships, vehicles, and facilities used by the stranded individuals who have already arrived in the province. The frontliners who welcome those stranded in Calapan Airport will need to undergo rapid testing for coronavirus infection. To date, more than 15,000 locally stranded individuals and 700 overseas Filipinos have traveled back to Oriental Mindoro. The UP Los Baños Testing Laboratory has passed the proficiency test by the Department of Health and the World Health Organization. In July, the laboratory will start processing swab tests to help fast-track issuing COVID-19 test results, mainly in the cities of Laguna Province. The test lab can process up to 800 test samples a day. Results will be available in 1 or 2 days.
Actually po pwede na siya, operational na sila. Pero ang sabi ng UPNIS, July na sa Wednesday, so pwede na sila tumanggap din. Inaayos lang nila yung mga papeles pa, reporting system, saka yung mechanics ng operations, kung paano makikipag-MOA sa local.
The World Health Organization warns against the politicization of COVID-19. Here's why from Kath Dumaraos.
WHO on Monday urges countries to unite in the fight against the pandemic, which is still accelerating and producing record daily increases in infections in many countries. On Monday's press briefing, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the politicization of COVID-19 is causing divisions among countries. It is also impacting the effective containment of the pandemic worldwide. Tedros called for world leaders to unite and put their differences aside to help curb the record daily increases of COVID-19 around the world.
From the start, we said, please, quarantine COVID politics. Please, we need national unity. Unity at the country level. Unity among political parties. Unity across ideologies, unity across beliefs, unity across races, unity across any differences you can mention. Please avoid any division. Any differences could be exploited by the virus, and that we have to fight this virus in unison.
In response to a series of scathing remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump around labeling the virus, the head of the WHO Health Emergency Program, Michael Ryan, said all people should refrain from using language with negative connotations.
From WHO's perspective, we obviously want to have international discourse that's based on mutual respect. And in that sense, we encourage all people at all levels and in all countries to use language that is appropriate, respectful, and is not associated with any connotations that are negative. And in that regard, we put that message out globally. There are many people around the world have used unfortunate language in this response.
Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And let's now take a closer look at the updated count of coronavirus cases around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of over 10.3 million confirmed cases in 188 countries, regions, and sovereignty. The fast-spreading disease has claimed more than 505,000 lives, while over 5.2 million patients across the globe have recovered from the new coronavirus infection. Thanks be to God.
Meanwhile, the country's Department of Health says that 1,080 new cases were reported today, including 858 fresh ones and 222 late cases. That raises the total confirmed cases of coronavirus infection in the Philippines to 37,514. That is, as of 4 p.m. today, we have lost 11 more patients. But through our fervent prayers, medical interventions, and sacrifices of our medical frontliners, 277 more people have won their battle against the invisible enemy. That brings the total recoveries nationwide to 10,233. Thanks be to God.
Our Foreign Affairs Department welcomed today more than 200 Filipino seafarers from Barbados, an island country in the Caribbean region. The group forms part of the crew of the vessels Harmony of the Seas, Azamara Pursuit, and Celebrity Equinox. The 262 Filipino seafarers arrived at Clark International Airport this morning on board Qatar Air Flight QR930. Meanwhile, also part of the Philippine government's repatriation of our nationals from other countries afflicted by the COVID-19 pandemic, 183 Filipinos from Phuket, Thailand were flown back home yesterday, including 3 infants. They flew on board a Philippine government repatriation flight funded by the DFA. 2 cremated remains of OFWs also returned home on the flight. Also yesterday, 498 OFWs from Macau, SAR, and Kuwait landed safely in AIA-2 on board 2 separate flights. A lawmaker is suggesting that a modification on the doors of buses plying the EDSA carousel route should be done to fit the new bus stops and bus lanes on EDSA. Vincent Arboledo will tell us why.
The country's lawmakers fear for the safety of commuters with the new setup of bus lanes and bus stops along EDSA. With the current setup, buses are assigned to ply EDSA in the leftmost part of the road. Doors of buses are located at the right side, and passengers embark and disembark at the roadside. Though there are concrete barriers in place, lawmakers believe these are not enough to ensure the safety of commuters.
We still feel na pag ang pintuan po ay nasa kanan, that's still a danger zone kahit meron pong leeway at merong barrier.
That is why Minority Floor Leader Benny Abante suggests to the Metro Manila Development Authority or MMDA to modify bus doors and change their positions to the left side of the bus to make it safe for commuters to embark and disembark at EDSA bus stops. According to MMDA Chairman Danny Lim, this has been the plan of MMDA.
Ang long-term plan natin talaga is eventually, we will require lahat ng buses na i-move yung sakayan babaan sa kaliwa na rin.
There should also be 2 doors for all buses, one for entrance and another for exit. Lawmakers are also proposing to the MMDA that instead of making modifications, the MMDA can implement a counterflow route for buses on EDSA to spare bus operators from additional expenses in modifying their vehicles. According to MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia, the current bus lanes and bus stop setup are still considered interim. This means that changes and adjustments can still be implemented by authorities based on observations and needs. Garcia adds the current layout was also based on consideration of the MRT.
Nandiyan yung MRT, di naman natin pwede tanggalin yan. So we need to adjust and adapt based on the infrastructure of the MRT. Kaya nga kung makikita nyo kanina, puro temporary yung footbridge natin. Pero still, even it's an interim, we will make sure na it's safe.
The Department of Transportation has also procured 36,000 concrete barriers worth 4,300 pesos each, amounting to around 154 million pesos to be placed on bus lanes on EDSA. As a whole, the entire bus lanes and bus stops along EDSA were budgeted with around 180 million to 200 million pesos. Authorities also plan to make the bus lanes and bus stops permanent with the addition of facilities like lifts for persons with disabilities, access to footbridges, bike lanes, and others. Authorities estimate 900 million pesos is needed to fully implement the bus lanes and bus stops along the entire stretch of EDSA. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Land Transportation Office temporarily suspends the issuance of student driver's permit. Let's find out the details why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
As the Land Transportation Office, or LTO, prepares for the implementation of the new processes next month, the agency will not issue student driver's permits starting tomorrow until August 2, 2020. And then, from August 3, individuals who wish to acquire a student driver's permit need to undergo a 15-hour theoretical driving course in accordance with Republic Act 10930.
Ito ang naglalayong turuan yung mga nag-a-apply ng lisensya na matutunan nila yung mga batas pantrapiko. Nakalulungkot na yung mga nagdadrive hindi alam yung mga road signs.
The LTO will provide a 15-hour lecture for 3 days with a 600 peso fee. Applicants may take a driving course with accredited driving schools listed on the LTO website. Upon its completion, applicants need to register an account through LTO's website or may ask assistance for it in the agency's office free of charge.
Once na nakapag-register po sila doon, they can come and visit us para doon sa kanilang biometrics and evaluation of their papers.
Once registered, applicants of student driver's permit need to take a 25-item online examination. They need to get at least 20 correct answers as the exam requires an 80% passing mark. Those who fail may retake the test on the following business day, but failing on the second try allows one to retake the exam after a year. Reviewing the learning tools in LTO's website may help the examiners. These new processes may be a burden, but other citizens find it helpful and sensible.
Magiging dagdag hassle pa yun, sir. Pero okay naman yun, sir.
Para makita at malaman ng lahat ng kumukuha ng lisensya kung ano yung mga rules and regulation nating sa karsada at kung ano yung mga safety na dapat nilang malaman.
LTO reminds the public that acquiring a driver's license is a privilege and it should not be provided to anyone who fails the requirements. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Drivers of traditional jeepneys are willing to comply with government requirements, but some of them are hesitant to prepare their vehicles at this point when their operation is about to resume. Joe Anano tells us why.
Traditional jeepneys are set to get back on the roads either on Thursday or Friday as the LTFRB announced. However, some jeepney drivers and operators have not prepared their vehicles yet because they have doubts whether their routes will be included in the resumption of operations. They are saying they might just waste their time and money if they prepare their vehicles but would not be allowed by the government.
Kaya naman namin yun, kaya lang ang problema ma'am, ang hirap kumuha ng pera, ay nagpapautang, ang hirap ng utang, tas gagawin mo, ayusin mo, isasadlak din pala. Kami na naman mahihirapan. Wala naman kaming pera talaga.
Sa ngayon po, naghahanda pa rin yung mga ibang jeep, pero yung mga iba, hindi pa po nang mahanda yung mga iba. Kasi gawa ng po yung, wala rin mga pera yung mga ibang operator, mga ibang jeepney driver. Kaya hindi pa nila naasikaso yung mga ibang jeep. Wala rin kaming panggastos eh.
There are some transport groups who have spent more than 3,000 pesos on their vehicles, hoping to could get back on the roads again. Others had to borrow money in order to comply with the requirements for public utility vehicles.
Sana naman mapakinabangan pa namin yung mga unit namin hanggang sa time na makapagpalit kami at yung mga preparation na ginawa namin, hindi po talaga masayang.
The LTFRB is expected to release tomorrow the final guidelines and routes to be open for roadworthy traditional jeepneys. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Good news to parents. Enrollment of school year 2020 to 2021 in public schools is extended for 15 more days. Dante Amento explains why.
The Department of Education or DepEd has extended enrollment period in all public schools across the country until July 15. This was confirmed by Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque in a press briefing today. The enrollment period was supposed to end today.
Ang mabuting balita po mga magulang, extended po ang enrollment until July 15. Pero pwede ba wag na natin antayin ang July 15?
Private schools can accept enrollees beyond June 30 and within the school calendar. Based on DepEd's data, there are almost 16 million enrollees in the country as of today. 15.2 million are from public schools, while more than 600,000 are in private education institutions. The number of enrollees is just 57% of last year's more than 27 million. But this figure is expected to increase due to DepEd's Dropbox enrollment because a number of enrollment forms have yet to be collected. DepEd Undersecretary Jess Mateo also says that even without the extension, they are allowing late enrollment based on existing policy.
Ang patakaran natin kasi as long as they comply with the 80 days, calendar days na requirement. So since ang pagbubukas naman ng paaralan natin ay sa August 24, pwede pa silang mag-late enrollees.
Yusek Mateo adds, after the enrollment, they will be focusing on the teachers' preparation for the blended learning system.
Madami pa akong gagawin tapos kung sakasakali po, ihahanda pa natin yung mga teachers po, kaya nga patuloy yung training natin sa mga guro.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, in Davao region, more than 10 private schools already announced they will be temporarily closed for the incoming school year. Lucille Lauren tells us why.
There are only 832,713 students enrolled in Davao region from kindergarten to senior high school in public and private schools. That's according to the Department of Education Region 11 as of 2 p.m. today. That figure is only 61% of last year's more than 1.3 million enrollees. To break that down, that comprises only 69% of last year's enrollees in public schools and 15% of enrollees in private school last school year. Because of the low enrollment turnout, especially in private schools, 13 schools have announced they will be temporarily closed for the school year 2020-2021. Lucille Loren, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Cebu City records close to 70 cases of COVID-19 among its government workers. Our Cebu City correspondent Gladys Tuwabi details why.
There are
are 69 Cebu City government workers who have tested positive for COVID-19.
12 are from the City Health Department, 19 from the ambulance service, 36 are barangay health workers, and 2 from other offices. Majority of them are frontline workers in the city. The Cebu City government has done precautionary measures, such as disinfection, placing rubbing alcohol stations in offices and comfort rooms inside the City Hall, and distributing vitamins, face masks, and personal protective equipment to its personnel. The city government has also implemented alternative work arrangement, such as work from home and skeleton force system to continue rendering service to the public. Older adults are also discouraged to report to work. Of the 69 workers who have tested positive for COVID-19, 4 have died, including City Councilor Antonio Cuenco. Residents in Cebu City are asked to comply with the stay-at-home order. As of June 29, the Cebu City Health Department has recorded 5,141 total confirmed cases, 2,259 active cases, 2,713 recoveries, and 169 deaths. Gladys Tuwabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senate President Vicente Sotto III gives score to President Rodrigo Duterte's performance on his 4th year as the country's chief executive. The president, who assumed presidency in 2016, marks the end of his 4th year in office today, June 30. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, the Senate President rates President Duterte with an 8.5 score. Sotto says the president has reduced the noise and violence from separatists and terrorists and contained the local communist insurgency. He adds the administration has an independent and dynamic foreign policy, noting that the country is no longer quote-unquote marching to the beat of the United States. According to Sotto, the country's economy before the COVID-19 pandemic was stable.
From the war on drugs up to the time of COVID-19, President Duterte has strove to uplift the people's welfare with a firm hand, and this is something that is seldom seen from the executive department.
However, Sotto says the president needs to work on addressing the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic and the problems in the country's transportation.
Continue with the economic gains that have been in place before the COVID-19, and then of course address the transportation issues of the country, and retain and gain more as far as peace and order is concerned. Hope naman is in abundance as far as the remaining couple of years of the present administration.
Meanwhile, the Senate President says they have 3 options for the final setup of this year's State of the Nation Address, or SONA. The first option, the President, together with some members of both houses of Congress, will be present at the Batasang Pambansa but without guests or visitors. Another option is for the President to deliver his address at the Malacan Palace while the members of Congress are streaming live at the Batasang Pambansa. And the other option is for the President to deliver his address at the Malacan Palace while the members of the House of Representatives are at the Batasang Pambansa while the senators are at their session hall. Sotto says the primary consideration in deciding the setup will be the safety of the President.
Therefore, bottom line, yung tatlong points would be live in their areas. No, those are the options. Pero yung third option, sinasabi ko, live in their areas, but kung sino makaka-attend sa plenary, they can. Ang House ata magli-limit. Sa Senate naman, pwedeng hindi mag-limit sapagkat iilan lang naman kami. All virtual na.
The Senate President adds they are open should the President calls for a special session to pass the Bayanihan too. However, he suggests to the Executive Department to sit down with them first to iron out differences in the proposed measure. The Executive Department has submitted its amendments on the proposed Bayanihan 2 this morning to the Senate Committee on Finance. Jego William, we are on board the UNTV radio mobile booth and we are here in North EDSA, just near the MRT North Avenue station. Let's take a look at the situation on the road. Jego William, so far, we have a moderate traffic ahead along EDSA southbound for motorists coming from North EDSA going to Quezon Avenue to Cubao. Meanwhile, so far, we have a light to at times moderate traffic on the other side of the road along EDSA northbound lane. And for our weather report. Southwest monsoon is affecting the western sections of northern and central Luzon. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa says the southwest monsoon may cause cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms over Ilocos region and Zambales. Meanwhile, Metro Manila and the rest of the country may experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms due to southwest monsoon or localized thunderstorms. Possible flash floods or landslides may occur during thunderstorms.
The country's agriculture experts are observing a new virus that has infected swine workers in China. Ray Pelayo details why.
The Department of Agriculture has not yet detected any virus like that recently observed in China infecting hogs. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in China, the Philippines banned the importation of Chinese pork.
Na-assure po ng DA through the BAI na tayo po ay wala pa nito at hindi po tayo nag-i-import ng baboy at pork products from China.
According to U.S. Journal Proceeding of the National Academy of Science, based on the Chinese researchers' study on the influenza virus from 2011 to 2018, a strain from H1N1 called G4 has a big potential to become pandemic. 10.4% of the blood tests from swine workers who have developed antibodies were found infected by the virus. It means that G4 is transferable from animal to human, although there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission as of now. G4 poses threats, especially to populated areas in China near swine farms. Meanwhile, the Department of Health is asking the public to report any unusual deaths of their hogs. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The National Telecommunications Commission issued today a cease and desist order against Sky Cable Corporation to stop its direct broadcast satellite services. The NTC also ordered Sky Cable to explain within 10 days from receipt of the order why the radio frequency assigned to the cable company should not be recalled for lack of the necessary congressional franchise as required by law. Sky Cable Corporation is also ordered to refund all its subscribers the unconsumed prepaid load, deposits on subscriber equipment and devices, deposit or advance payment in monthly charges for postpaid subscribers. Sky Cable Corporation is a subsidiary of ABS-CBN Corporation, whose legislative franchise expired in May.
And for the news abroad, here is Elsie Marcos, live.
Good evening,
yes,
William,
Elsie.
and to Diego and Harleen. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, Elsie. How are you over there? And what have you got for us tonight?
Yes, William. Today, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern responded to calls to open New Zealand borders. She said opening its borders immediately are frankly dangerous. I will also tell you why unions are suing 3 casino properties in Nevada, USA, and why Leicester City in the United Kingdom is on lockdown.
Okay, go ahead, Elsie. Please tell us why.
Calls for New Zealand to open its borders immediately are frankly dangerous, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said. She said New Zealand was in a privileged position due to its hard-won gain, and opening the borders while the pandemic was still escalating came at a potential price. Imported cases had led to outbreaks in New Zealand, and the reason for the current freedoms in New Zealand was because of the strict border measures, she said. Ardern said opening more to Australia and the Pacific was being considered, but anyone pushing for more open borders now was dangerous. She further said that opening borders would only be considered in the short term with the countries that have contained COVID-19 as well as New Zealand has. The Ministry of Health has just announced there are no new cases today, the first 0 day since June 18. There are 22 active cases, all confined to quarantine or managed isolation facilities. There have been no cases of community transmission. One person remains in Auckland City Hospital in a stable condition on a ward. And in our neighbor Australia, Premier Queensland Anastasia Palaszczuk announced today that Queensland borders remain closed to Victoria State. Premier Palaszczuk explained they cannot risk the hard work of Queenslanders and put their plan for economic recovery at risk. She added that from July 10, Queensland's border will open to travelers from other states and territories who have not been in Victoria. Also from noon on Friday, July 3, anyone who travels from Victoria, including Queenslanders, will be prevented from entering Queensland unless they complete 14 days of hotel quarantine at their own expense. Queenslanders' continued efforts in uniting against the deadly virus means restrictions can ease a week earlier than expected, the Premier further announces. Victoria State now has 2,163 confirmed cases, with 327 active ones, including 37 new cases. It's the Australian state with the second highest number of positive COVID-19 cases, next to New South Wales. On the other hand, Queensland is third with 1,067 confirmed coronavirus infections and 6 deaths with only 7 active cases as of today, according to Australia's official COVID-19 tracker. 1,054 patients have recovered. That's a 98% recovery rate for Queensland. Let's now take a look at the COVID-19 count in the countries worst hit by the coronavirus pandemic. The United States of America has now recorded close to 2.6 million confirmed coronavirus cases, including more than 126,000 deaths and over 705,000 recoveries. Trailing the USA is Brazil with more than 1.3 million cases and now over 58,000 deaths. India remains to be the Asian country with the most COVID-19 infections with more than 500,000. Elsewhere in Nevada, USA, unions representing 60,000 hospitality workers in Las Vegas and Reno are suing 3 casino properties based on allegation of dangerous working conditions. The Culinary Workers Local 226 and Bartenders Union Local 165 filed a lawsuit on Monday against Harrah's Las Vegas, owned by Caesars Entertainment Corp. And the Bellagio and Signature condominiums, both subsidiaries of MGM Resorts Internationals. The lawsuit claims the companies have not sufficiently protected workers and their families from the spread of COVID-19, and that the current rules and procedures for responding to workers who contract COVID-19 have been inadequate. Among other claims, the lawsuit alleges the companies failed to immediately inform employees about co-workers who tested positive and only encouraged guests to wear face masks while in public areas until June 24, the day the Nevada governor ordered guests to wear them. An MGM Resorts International spokesman said, in a statement, the company had offered free testing to all employees and requires testing if an employee shows symptoms or has been exposed to someone who tested positive. Caesars Entertainment did not immediately respond to a request for comment. At least 19 union members and their families have died from the coronavirus since March 1, according to the lawsuit, which seeks injunctive relief. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey on Monday ordered the closure of bars, nightclubs, gyms, movie theaters, and water parks joining other Sunbelt states like Florida and Texas in reversing reopenings after a surge in coronavirus cases. Ducey also delayed the start of public schools until August 17, after many school districts plan to start their new year in July or early August. Elsewhere in California, Governor Gavin Newsom said on Monday that the state was applying a dimmer switch to roll back some efforts to reopen the economy. Newsom's order to bars to close in Los Angeles and 6 other countries followed moves by Texas and Florida to shut all their bars on Friday. Public health officials in California and throughout the United States have identified bars as the riskiest non-essential businesses currently open. The British government imposes lockdown on the city of Leicester in its first major attempt to curb an outbreak with local rather than national measures. Leicester has a much higher COVID-19 infection rate than anywhere else in the country. The United Kingdom is in the process of gradually easing its national lockdown, with non-essential shops now open and further relaxation of rules due on July 4. But Leicester and the surrounding area were told to go into reverse. The government will send a further testing capability, including opening a walk-in center. The city will receive extra funding. Non-essential retail will have to close. Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the 7-day infection rate in Leicester was 135 cases per 100,000 people. That's 3 times higher than the next highest city. Leicester accounted for 10% of all positive cases in the country in the past week, he added. In other news, a Boeing 737 MAX took off on Monday from a Seattle area airport on the first day of certification flight testing with U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and company test pilots. This was a crucial moment in the plane makers whose worst ever crisis. If the 737 MAX gains FAA approval to return to commercial service, which is not likely to happen until September due to ongoing reviews, it is expected to spark a scramble by Boeing to determine the fate of hundreds of parked jets. Deliveries to airlines were frozen after the jet's safety ban in March 2019, following the second of 2 fatal crashes that together killed 346 people. But Boeing continued to produce and store jets for months, hoping for a quick return to service. The FAA said on Monday the flights will evaluate Boeing's proposed changes to the automated flight control system on the 737 MAX and will include a wide array of flight maneuvers and emergency procedures to assess whether the changes meet FAA certification standards. After the flights are completed, the FAA must still approve new pilot training procedures, among other reviews. And those are the reasons behind the news here in New Zealand and in other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you, Elsie Marcos. Please stay safe there in Auckland, New Zealand.
A police sniffing dog in Russia exits the service and plans to do some sports as he retires. Here's the story why from Nina Armilio.
Russia's only Welsh Corgi police sniffing dog, nicknamed Redhead, retired at the age of 9. Redhead devoted 7 years of his life to working for Nizhny Novgorod Transport Police Department. The department announced on Monday on social media that Redhead will continue doing sport. He will also learn some new skills, such as dancing. Redhead, as a fluffy officer, had been properly trained for his career. He could search for drugs and detain the offender. He is also well trained in obedience and agility. He's also skilled at many tricks and commands. Other than that, he knows how to graze sheep. Redhead became a local celebrity since the Welsh Corgi is a very unusual breed to become a police dog. in Russia because they must be physically strong and ready to protect a specialist from criminals if necessary, according to Redhead's trainer's social media post. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news, June 30, 2020. I am Herlene Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Have a great evening, everyone.